morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a good wherever you are. My name is JP, and this is Brizy. And today we are talking about Brizy web stories, particularly for Brizy WordPress. Web stories can also be done in Brizy Cloud, and you can even create it in Brizy Cloud and share it on any other kind of platform or CMS of choice. And the builder works for all intents and purposes the same. But we are focusing on WordPress, and let's first talk about what a web story is. Actually, I think few people use it, but I see a lot of application for it in many different scenarios. And maybe after you've watched this tutorial, you will also come up with a few interesting ways to use it. I think the first thing to understand about a story is that it's mobile focused. Here I have a web story and a few things to notice here. At the very top, not always so easy to see, are these slide bars. This shows you how many slides there are within the web story. Currently, we can see 5. If I select one, it moves to the next one, and we can see these slides. And the idea is that this is really cell phone orientated. You have a slide that appears on the phone, and often you will have a call to action there as well to motivate people to click on it. There's also another way that you can scroll, and that is by scrolling. If you've had Instagram, you understand how the story concept works. I haven't activated it here, but there's also an autoplay so that you can set the amount of seconds that people can look at a slide and it will automatically move to the next one. That's a great feature. However, if you are on a desktop device and somebody sends you the story, don't fret, you still will be able to see it. It will just look slightly different. So let me go here to a desktop version and show you how it will look on that. Here it has a different interface. Similar, you have the slide bars that you can select here and move. Now you have the main slide in focus, and then you have the adjacent slides, and they are muted that you cannot see them that clearly. You still have an autoplay option, and you also have navigation arrows on the left and right. How you use the stories is the big question. For me, during the COVID time, it was a great tool for restaurants who wanted no contact for menus. You could go to the restaurant and you had a QR code there on a little paper and people could scan it and you can put your menu here. That's a great way of doing it. For me, I really envision people walking somewhere and they see a poster, they see a flyer, and then there's a URL, a QR code would be the best. They scan it, and because they are on their phone, the story, the web story will pop up and it will give them information. And from there, you can create call to actions and you can create links to your website. It's great for promotions, but at all times, I've said it a few times, think of it in terms of mobile. How are you going to design it for mobile? And you will also see that the builder we use for web stories is focused on mobile design. Let's go to WordPress. I'll jump over here and I have this in the front. Let me close this, and I worked on this page here, so I'll go back to my dashboard and then we create our first story. To create your first story, go to Brizy and you see stories selected. And already the story that I've been working on appears here. Click on Add New Story, and I'll call this Gym Promo 2025. And the first thing you need to do before you go down here and select Edit with Brizy is to go all the way over to the right and publish it. You also have the option to save the draft, and you can preview from here, and the other options like visibility and whether you want to publish or schedule it for another time in the future. My English teacher would be very happy I said schedule instead of schedule. Publish. Now that we are ready to go edit it, select on Edit with Brizy. Quick overview of the Web Stories Builder canvas and layout. What's going on here? If you understand the Brizy Builder, this may seem familiar to you. You won't be lost. The first thing is you have your canvas in the middle. You have your slide that will appear here, and then below it, you can add more slides as well as delete it. Sidebar on the left at the very top, this is where you add the elements. A hugely reduced amount of elements here, not the many that you are used to within the Brizy Builder. And it's because we tailored the kind of elements that you will be using for the web story specifically, and they are also differently applied. to what it would be done in the builder. Below this, you still have your global styling that you can use here. Just remember that this global styling is tied to your main website as well. Then at the bottom, this is where you exit and you have your shortcut support and all of that. Working on a slide, in the top right corner, you will find settings and then your normal toolbar here in the bottom right corner for your updates and your reviews as well as your previews. Brizy web stories come with a few pre-made web stories that you can use, and it's a great starting block just to have an understanding of how the web stories work and give you some ideas of how you can create your own. To do that, go to the empty slide box here in the bottom and select it, and it will open these templates for you. You can see you have free ones, and then you have a few other categories here as well. I said we're going to do the fitness, right? Let's see if we have fitness, magazine, fashion. I will go to services, and over here, never give up. Let's select this one. When you click on the web story template that you are interested in, it will open this preview panel for you, very similar to the pre-made blocks within the Brizy Builder. And you can click on them, cycle through them to see how they will look. Now remember, currently they are shocking green. But if I import the story, it's not going to appear shocking green. It's going to take my global styling. I can select replace global styling here, but just remember what I mentioned about that connection to the main website, or I can stay with the global styling that I already have activated. I think for this demo, I want to replace the global styling so we can work with it, and then I'll select replace global styling and select import the story. Note, it will only import this slide. You need to import all of these slides one by one. Import the story. And then go to the next one. We go again to services. And this is the way you are going to build out your pre-made template story by going to this and going through these steps, unfortunately, a number of times. Let's go more. And I'll bring in the last two slides as well. Services. And the last one. There you go. To edit them, you can just cycle by clicking on them as so, and then you can start the editing process. If you want to add a new slide and start from scratch, it's as simple as going to the last block within the story sequence and click on the plus and then select create your own. This will give you that blank canvas that we are used to. Having started though at the beginning, you will notice that I didn't delete or remove this slide. When you start new with web stories, you get this empty slide and you cannot use this slide for the pre-made templates, so you have to delete it. However, you always need one slide, so you have to add one so you can delete this one. Let's delete these two empty slides. I'll click on this one, click on delete, remove it, and the same for this one, delete. We'll switch out the content in a bit. Let's have a look at all the controls we have here. First of all, we need to save our story, and that is done in the bottom right corner by clicking on Update. The usual suspects appear here. You have Undo, you have Redo, and you have Preview, and then next to Update, you also have the option to switch it to Draft. I'll select Preview, and this is going to give us the desktop application. Three ways usually, and that is first by selecting the slide bars or clicking on the story slides, or using the navigation arrows on the left and right to cycle between them. I mentioned earlier that we also have other features like autoplay, so let's activate those. Jump back into the builder, and at the top right corner, go to settings all the way to the left. And here you have autoplay. Select that, and the speed is set to 3 seconds. That means that each slide will appear for 3 seconds, which is good, You could make it longer, you could make it shorter, but I really think on mobile devices, 3 seconds is as low as it should go. You also have the option to loop. Update and preview. And now every 3 seconds, we should see it moving. Apart from it moving, notice here in the bottom, you can see the bar also progressing, giving you that 3 seconds time duration, a visual representation of that. With this, we have covered everything in terms of setting of the stories. For those of you who do bring in CSS elements, can also be done. It's done on a slide-by-slide basis, and that is done with the settings. And then on the right, you select settings, and you see you have your CSS class and your custom CSS that appear here. But now let's talk about the editing and how you work with it. Instead of changing out all of this, I will bring in a new custom slide so that we can work from scratch and see how it works. You already know how to bring in a new slide. Select here all the way to the right and create your own. To change the background, go to the settings at the top and select the second icon from the left that gives us control over the background. Here you have the regular and usual suspects. You have a type for an image, or you can bring in a video or even a map. You have filters and you can apply a mask. I'll select image and let's grab this one over here and bring it in. And it's going to center it basically all over your image, but we don't see it. And that is because we need to go, as usual, to the next option, which is colors. By default, the color white is applied as your background canvas. To make sure that you can see the image, go to this dropdown and select none. Now you can see the image. None basically just reduces the opacity of the white color. To apply an overlay, let's go for the shocking green again. Select green and you will see that the state changes to solid. I grab the opacity slider and I drag it down slightly to around 60%. And now we have this great effect and we can put text and other elements over it. I want to show you this because the moment I select none again over here, it's going to just reduce the opacity slider to 0, even though we're still within this shocking green. The other option is to go for a gradient. Nice way also to bring a little bit of flair to your design. I'll go and put this one on that purple. Let's change the angle. And I think I will increase the gradient color a little bit. Where are we? On this purple. Increase the color. We can increase the opacity. But what I had done earlier with the solid color and the green and reduce it to around 60%, I really like this. That is how you set the background and the overlay for the background on a slide-by-slide basis. All the settings up here in the top right corner. Let's save it and then start looking at how we bring in elements. The first element we will want to bring in is text. Yeah, let's bring in text. And you can do that by clicking on the plus in the middle. It will open the elements drawer on the left, or as usual, you can just go to the top in the left-hand corner and select Add Elements. We have button, icon, embed, the whole tutti. I'll start with text, but this is where we're going to take a step back. And instead of clicking and dragging it and dropping it on the page, I'm just going to click on it. And once I click on it, it drops on the canvas. Now, the text element works more or less the same as you're used to. First, let's change out the text. Select it. And I'll say, join today. And we go to our T for typography, and I'll put it on a heading 1. Let's change the color. I want it dark, and I'll center align it, and we're kind of done. But let's have a look at everything else that appears here within this text element. First of all, we have our AI text generator, which is a great tool if you just need a little bit of inspiration. Let's play around with this so you can just see that it actually works. I'll say, write a short 3-word H1 heading to encourage people to join my gym. Let's see what the AI does. Sometimes it blows my socks off. Get fit today. like this one, Get Fit Today. It blows my socks off. Other times it's meh, or sometimes, this is how the AI works. But I really like this, Get Fit Today. It's an inspiring. First thing I'll do is just take away these quotation marks that also randomly seems to pop up every now and again. And that is what the AI text generator does. Great way. I love it. I know there are so many people. No, you should do your own thing. Well, if this thing can help me 80% of the time and free up so much for me, I'll definitely use it. Then we have our typography options. And these are the usual suspects for typography, and they are all linked with the global styling and your typography global styling over here on the left. We have our colors. You can see you have your background, shadow, and mask. That is usual. Alignment bullets, you can link it again. Great. And we'll talk about linking slides in a bit. Settings over here, your tag, and then you have your styling. Basic, your advanced, and you also have your effects over here. And duplicate as well as delete. Now, a few things that you will not be aware of. And that is, how do I place this on this slide? Select and hold and drag. Look at that. That is as simple as it can get. You don't have that precise control like it will fit within a box and you know exactly it's up there in this many pixels. You are going to drag it and you're going to drop it. It's a very, very easy, almost intuitive way to work with. And it's been designed this way to make it easy to work with the web stories. Also notice the handles that appear in which you can constrain the box. Let's bring in a little bit of text again. Remember, just click on it and it drops it in the middle. Change the color so it's easier to read, and I'm just going to increase the weight as well. Let's put it on semi-bold, and I'll reduce the line height a tad, increase the size to 18, because as I get older, 16 is really difficult for me to read. Yeah, we always complain about that. And then we go to our AI text. And now I will say something. Write a 20-word paragraph to encourage people to sign up for my gym today. And I'll just enter on my keyboard. Transform your body and mind at our state-of-the-art gym. Join today for a healthier, stronger, and happier you. Don't wait. Brilliant, baby. And now, same thing like before. I can just click, hold, and drag it to where I want it to go. And now I'll position it. Wait, let me reduce the... Can I just click side and drag it back in? Ooh, very nice, Peter. And there we go. The new element that appears within the Brizy builder for web stories is shape. So let's do that one next. Add elements, and we look for shape over here. Just click on it and it drops in. And the reason I want to bring this in is I want to put it behind this text so we can have a little bit of contrast and see the text better. Select it and you will see we have all the handlebars here. Easy. Look at that. I can drag the shape and create rectangles freely. I wish I can have more features like that all over the builder, right? And you have your color here. You have color for border as well as a shadow. I'm going to put it on white and I will reduce the opacity slightly. Border, just make sure it's on none. It is, and then we're done with it. Under settings, you can set your corners. Great. And you have your normal advanced and then your effects. You can duplicate and delete it. Now I will hold it and I will drag it and then position it. I think that's good. Problem is that because I brought in the shape after the text, the shape is overlaying the text. So the order of how these elements will come onto your slide is in the order you add them. And that is our Z index. I want this to be below the text. And we have a problem here because first of all, I won't be able to select the text. This block is currently, or the shape is currently completely covering it. So a few things we're going to do. Hold on tight. I'll first drag it down. Then I'll select the text. I'll go to my settings, select styling, go to advanced, And then from the Z index, I'll select any number higher than 1. Yes, higher than 1. Let's do that. Now, when I go to this shape and I hold and drag it, it's going to appear in the back because it's at a value of 0. Let me just position that a little bit more. With the shape, we can also create other shapes. You see there's a little circle. Okay, I dragged this one, but remember you can just click. Let's go to our settings and then corner. I'll drag it all the way, or you just put it on percentage, and now I can create my circle. Ta-da! To delete any element, select it and go to delete. Let's have a look at the rest of the elements. None of these will be unfamiliar to you because they are all from the Brizy Builder, and just the way you add them and how you move them will change. So let's work with the icon and a button just to embed this. But the rest of these guys, whether it's embed or a map or a progress bar or even a form, yes, or rating, a lottie element, all of them will work exactly the same in terms of their settings. I said button, so let's go to button and I'll click, and the button is very, very green. So let's select the button. I'll first change the color, the background, and then we make the text this funky green. And for the border, I will go and I say none. And then there is our button. Usual styling, we have how we want to control the fill. We can change the corners and we can change the icon, the positioning of the icon, as well as the size of the icon. And then we can go to typography. This we can change here. Or remember, we want to keep things uniform. Make sure you put it on your button for typography and then go to global styling, select button at the bottom and make the changes from here instead. I highly recommend this. You'll always be very grateful for this when somebody decides to change everything after a year without needing to change the entire design. You can just update your colors. Click back on the button and you can link. So let's talk about the links here. You have your page, you have URL, then you have this additional one that only appears in the Webstories Builder, and that is slides. This button will now link to whichever slide it is set. If you have a slide at the beginning, which we will put this one at, and you want people to maybe subscribe, and the subscribe slide is only at the end, then you give them the option to jump. So let's change the text and say subscribe now. And you can see that this is in small caps. But first I will make this button bigger by simply dragging like this. Oh, awesome. And then to make it all caps, I'll go to my global styling button and I'll put it on all caps from here. Let's grab the button and drag it down here to the bottom. And now we link it. But before we can link it, we need to reorder our slides so that this slide is in the right position. Reordering slides? Very simply, I think you figure it out. Go to the bottom, click, hold, and drag the slide. I'm going to put this one at the very, very beginning. We have in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slides. I want to link this button here at the bottom so that when people click on it, it will go to the last slide, which is slide number 7. Go to the link, select it, go to slides, and simply put it on 7 or type in the value 7. While we are here, you also have the option to add a download file. Again, think of that scenario where somebody is walking past the gym, there is a promo going on, and they can scan from the poster the QR code and it opens the web story, and then it gives them the option to download a training schedule or your membership fees, something that will entice them to take that action. That is all done within these settings for the links. For the page option, this can take you to the main pages of your website, or you can even add your own URL there. The world is your oyster, as they always say. Let's test this. I'm going to update, preview, and select subscribe now, and it jumps to the last slide. If you have issues that this doesn't want to give you that skip behavior, it is because the builder hasn't registered yet that you've moved this slide currently to position number 1, and that slide has now become slide number 7. All you need to do is click on the refresh of the builder. So you save everything, you reload the page, and then all of that will be locked in. Also remember about the autoplay feature if you want to turn that on or off, which I've deactivated. With all these other features, you can build out a great slide. Now it brings us to the very, very important part. How do I use this across my website or in everyday usage? Let me just close these tabs here at the top. And that all happens within WordPress and in the Brizy Builder. 3 places I can think of. So let's exit, go to dashboard. And this takes us back to this area where we had created our story. Our story appears here. I'll just go again to Brizy Stories and I'll select it. And you can see we have 2 stories now, the gym promo and the New Year resolution story. Your quick edit link to edit with the Brizy Builder appears here. That will take you directly into the Webstories Builder. We click on Gym Promo 2025 because this is where I want to show you the first one. Here you have your permalink and you can edit that slug there or simply click on this and this will give you the full preview with the URL up there. So if you want to share this URL to somebody, you can do it by just copy that URL. I'm going to take this URL and I'll paste it here so we can see how it will look. No mess, no fuss. This is how we expect it to behave. What is this iPhone 14 Pro? Let's focus on this so you just can see how that will look. We have the bars here. I've turned off the autoplay. So again, you will have to swipe, which you can do as such. But let's go just to the first slide by clicking on the slide bar here in the top left corner and I'll select subscribe now and it takes me to the last one. Of course, here you will add the form element to collect those leads. Beautiful, so it works perfectly. And as expected on your desktop, you have the desktop interface and this will again change very nicely depending on the resolution of the desktop. That is the first way, is by actually physically going ahead and sharing the URL. I'll click on back so it takes us here again. With that then, you can use that URL, go to a QR code generator and create those QR codes if you're going to use it on live marketing like posters. The other 2 ways, you may want to add a story to your website. And this can be done in 2 ways. First, within the menu, or the second is on the page. Let's talk about in the menu first. For that, you will have to go to your menu creator and that is done within WordPress. I'll go to Appearance. I'm using Legacy Layout with Blocksy theme, so I have my menu that appears here. But remember, if you are using an FSE, a full site editor, it's going to appear within that builder. Select Menus. And highly likely, you're not going to find any indication here that you can have the stories added to your menu. That is because you haven't activated the screen option yet. Go to the top right corner and select Screen Options. And then under Screen Elements, you will see we have stories here. Just go ahead and activate it. Once you do so, it appears here within the labels under the Add Menu items. We can close that one down and create a new menu. We already have a menu here. All you need to do is go to Stories, select the stories you want to add, Gym Promo, and then click it Add to Menu. And there it appears on my menu and you save it. Now you can display it in the menu that you've created on your site. From here, we go to our pages. And the page that I created within Brizy is this home demo, and I'll select Edit with Brizy. There's no menu currently here at the top, so let me bring in a menu element. I'll search within the search bar for menu, click, hold, and drag. And I'll drop it here. What is this? A spacer. Let me delete that spacer. The menu element already gives me these 2 options. I'll just align them. This is alignment to the right so we can see it better. I know I shouldn't go into styling, but I just want things to be even, right, Mr. Monk? And then what we can do now is just test it. So I'll update, preview, and you see how quick these pages load. Even when you're working with WordPress, Also, if you share the URL to a person halfway across the world, it's going to load so quickly because of the Brizy compiler. And now I can click on Gym Promo 2025 and it's going to open up the story. Naturally, if you're on the desktop, it will display like this. If you're on a mobile device, it will look really nice and fancy. Now that is how you add stories to your menu within WordPress. Now let's talk about how you can add a story to a link on your site. I'll add a button here, and anything that can be linked can be used for this, but I'll just bring in a button to make it very visual. Let's change the text color, something dark, and then we go to our link over here. What you want to do here is go to the type and select stories. And here you do need to know at least one word from that story. And we were saying gym, so I'll just type in gym and it should give me my Gym Promo 2025. Lovely. Select it and you can select whether you want to have it open in a new tab. Yes, but no. And then I'll just go ahead and update it. You can also use the shortcut key, Control S, Command S for that. And now we preview. There's another shortcut key for preview, which I love, which is Control Shift P, Command Shift P. I'm going to do that, Control Shift P. And it reloads for me my preview. And there's the button I created. Click on it. And you guessed it, we go into our web story. And that is how web stories work within WordPress. A great way to bring a little bit of interaction to mobile devices because you have this animation of slides, you have this interaction. It just gives a condensed version to the user that's right on the spot. No need for them to hunt around. The slides are specific. It tells them this is this, this is that. And from there you can generate those leads if that is your purpose, or you can create menus. Or if you are a gym instructor, in this case, you can have the class times for your students. You can share the URL then with them through WhatsApp, so that they can be updated. And because you are on these mobile devices, when you are using platforms like WhatsApp, then they will have it already in the format of a mobile display. That is just brilliant. Think outside the box for this in the business world context. If you want to share the upcoming agenda with people, you can put the whole agenda within a story and even have a download link there for the Word document or the PDF of the documents that will be used. So instead of sending people that email, you send it to them through a WhatsApp or Microsoft Teams, whichever platform your business is using, and they can quickly access it there. It just livens things up, but don't go too much overboard. Wow, the green is starting to work on my eyes, and when I see this kind of green, it always reminds me of my science teacher in high school who used to call this green snot green. So a very vivid image of how I see this kind of green. Brings us to the end of this tutorial for Webstories Brizy 2025. Hope it was useful, gave you some ideas of what you can be doing with this in Brizy. Remember to subscribe to YouTube. We are releasing all updated videos in 2025 so you can have all the latest within Brizy WordPress, Brizy Cloud, also our AI builder, and then Brizy Shopify. Oh, it's a mouthful indeed. I'll see you again from me, JP. Until next time.